The weather over Kampala this afternoon has been quite deceptive, giving hints of sunlight and at the same time giving us a deceptive cloud cover. And you believe that the two coaches today would be expecting their players to reflect that kind of deception in every time they get in possession on the ball. And today we bring you yet again the second serving of the Victoria Africa Rugby Cup. It is between the three countries of Kenya, Uganda and Zambia. And with Uganda and Zambia having successfully opened it up for us over the weekend, Kenya come on to the team that will be looking to punch something out of the fixture today, given that the last time out they lost to the home side 30 points to 8. Zambia will be looking forward to a more open fixture today to try and make amends for where they made arrears last weekend. As usual, I'm in the commentary box with Helen Buteme. I told you it would happen. I'm sorry. Hi, Helen. How you doing?
I'm good, Nyobi. Great to be here today. It's not as warm as it was on Saturday, but it's still a great day for rugby. Yeah. And Zambia has not made any changes to the team that took on Uganda on Saturday. So we can quickly go through the list. In the forwards, we have Hilary Mfatso-Mwashi, Ali Nazir Bika, who is the captain, Lawrence Lesser, Isaac Sakala, Thomas Mwankenja, Daniel Kunda, Pekka Firi, and Rogers Mukupa. Then in the back line, scrum off, Mulenga Mwili, Terry Kaushiku, Alex Mewa, Butemwe Koloko, Kapelele Kasitu, David Chimbukulu, and David Koloko. And on the bench, Bathlock Sikawona, Hilary Ngawa, Mabuchi Mwenyembe, Maini Kaumba, Wilson Kunda, Langani Siziba, Chilesha Mulenga, and Raymond Mwashi.
Strong unchanged lineup from the Zambians, which is quite interesting considering that the Kenya side we're seeing today is of a totally different texture. About 12 or 13 new faces in the 23-man squad. Very, very much inside. But before we hear about the Kenya lineup, we shall first salute the two nations, respect their sovereignty by listening to their anthems. Buoyed up by the tunes of the homeland, the Zambians are up in the air, and the Kenyans prepare for one of their own. There we have it. And the Kenya side, whose anthem we've just heard, is lining up as follows. Ephraim Odur, Teddy Akala, and Hilary Mwanjilwa are the front row, while Ibrahim Ayo and Hilary Odiambo make up a debutant lock pairing. George Nyambua will be the captain. Formidable player Elkins Musonye and Jenson Misoga, another debutant, make up the back row, and that is their complete scrum. The backs have John Kubu, the Fijian, at fullback, Joel Inzuga, another debutant, Bryson Adaka, Paul Mutsami, Alfred Orege, Brian Wanyiha, the vice captain, and Barry Young, their scrum half. Their replacements are Emmanuel Otieno, Thomas Okidia, Will White Mususi, Brian Dirangu, Peter Waitere, Dan Angwech, Derek Ashindu, and Andrew Matoka. That will be the contingent of Kenyan players that are going to turn up this afternoon, and they will be playing their very first Victoria Cup fixture. They seem to be a very giant side, as earlier mentioned. Those that have seen the composition of Kenya before have seen a different team from this one, but you believe that the coach has very solid backing as to why he chose to line up so many new faces in the setup today. Zambia, on the other hand, are completely unchanged from the team that played against Uganda in the opener last week, and they will be looking to write something positive in their story on the tournament so far, while the Kenyans will be seeking to open theirs in a more glorious fashion than even the Ugandans when they played against the Zambians over the weekend. Center referee Ronald Butimba seems satisfied with proceedings, raises his hand, and that means nothing else other than game live. Early possession in the hands of the Zambians. And there's Terry Kaushiku testing John Skubu. Luckily for him, the ball goes back. Now Kenya in transition. Very dangerous. Slowly recycling the phases. The Kenyans in very good territory as well. The Cabra Sugarman Barry Young releases John Kubu. Ball is out to the wing. Kenya already posing early questions to the Zambians. It was that Manel Keans Musonye in that moment. Slow phases out to the captain now. Kenya still piling early pressure here. Referee's hand goes up. It has not been a long time coming really, but the Kenyans seem like they seem to be the more composed of the two sides, and they are the benefactors of the referee's fair hand. And right now they'll be going for the touchline, and John Kubu will be seeking to slice the ball over the plane, which he does diligently. And the first line out of the game will go to the team in red, the Kenyans. Ball in, well claimed in the air by Hilary Odhiambo, and now the Kenyans have set up a maul. Will this be able to be steered forward? Ball has peeled back already. They seem well set, and now they are in motion. Here comes Kenya, a great display of brawn, and are they over? You bet damn right they are. And that is the first try of the game. It goes the way of the Kenyans, who just seem to wait. It looked like the captain, John Nyambwa, that came up with the ball there.
Yeah, possibly. It's hard to know with all those bodies piled on top of each other. But Kenya will look to use that driving more, because Zambia was totally unprepared for that. They had no defense for it, and you could actually see them trying to collapse that maul at some point towards the end. But the Kenyan forwards were just too strong and drove over. On Saturday, the physicality from the Zambian forwards really tested the Ugandans, and we thought that possibly Zambia would try and bring that physical game, but the Kenyan forwards have proved to be quite a match for the Zambians. They're big, strong, and a lot more experienced. So Zambia will have to change their game plan if they're to get any points on board. It's a dry day, but the pitch is a bit muddy and slippery, so possibly not quite a great day for fast stepping
they're in motion.
forwards.
Yeah, and John Kubu makes no mistake, getting the full complement of points for the Kenyans here. And it actually looks like it was a debut day try for Hilary Odhiambo of Cabra Sugar Club back home in Kenya. Well, you can get the smiles coming in early for rewarding the coach's faith. Terry Kaushiku now to get us back into action. John Nyambwa now takes a big charge, and a great hit that is condensed by Daniel Kunda. Barry Young now to get the Kenyans back rolling. John Nyambwa, the captain, does his due. Sets up again for Barry Young to recycle that one. The try scorer, Hilary Odhiambo, is the final pilfer over the rock. And Barry Young sends it skyward. Opposes gravity very well there. And his 13, Bryson Adaka, covers ground very well. The penalty this time goes the way of the Zambians. It is that gentleman, Elkeans Musonye, who has been found culprit of holding the ball on the ground, not letting it be playable, let alone contestable. And Alex Mwewa of the Zambians will now be seeking to replicate John Kubu's antics on the boot by finding touch on his own for his men in orange and green.
Yeah, the last time that Zambia and Kenya met was during the Africa Cup in 2021 in Kenya, and Zambia lost 45-8. And from that squad, there are 6 Zambian players here who played that day against Kenya. Well, the Kenyan squad has 10 players. So this is the first time they're meeting since 2021. And Zambia will be hoping to turn the table. Since they are on neutral ground, they'll hope that they can pull one over the Kenyans.
Interesting that we call this neutral ground. Yet, given the 2 venues that are being used for this tournament, you could say this is more familiar territory for the away sides. But yes, indeed, neutral ground it is. We are back right in the action. It is Peter Firi of Zambia who wins yet another penalty for a side entry by the Kenyans. It seems the culprit is Hilary Mwanjilwa, whose debut hasn't started off with as much shine as his countryman Hilary and namesake Hilary Odhiambo. The decision now is upon the Zambians, and Terry Kashiku is signaling like he looks like he has some choke on his boot. He could slice this one home and try to bring the deficit to 4 points rather than a full 7 that they are chasing at the moment.
Yeah, Terry Kashiku is one of the top goal scorers in Zambia, and his coach Lawrence Njovu is very confident that he can kick the ball over from whichever angle, and also from some good distance. He has a range of about 50 meters, so this should be a straightforward kick for him.
Should be, you say?
I hope it's not the commentator's curse.
You've been on fire this tournament, right? You are, but this time your luck has run out.
Unfortunately, just slightly to the right of the uprights. And Zambia remains scoreless, while Kenya have 7 points, courtesy of a try from debutant Hilary Odhiambo and the extras by John Kubu.
John Kubu's kickoff now tests David Koloko at the back, and Koloko responds with a very sumptuous kick of his own that is collected very well by Jensen Misoga. Jensen Misoga sets up for Barry Young to get the work in. Good carry by Paul Mutsami. And the Kenyans come again. Barry Young just holds on a second, sets up Bryson Adaka, who is now down protecting that ball. Patience is the name of the game right now, and Johnny Kubu has come on to get involved. Jenson Misoga pushes them into the 22 now. Slow, patient work. George Nyambua, the 34 cup man, there with the curry. And referee Ronald Utimba's whistle goes again. Looks like he's calling for an advantage earlier awarded. We seem to have to wait a little bit to find out what Utimba's decision is. But so far so good from the Kenyans. They're doing very well in possession. No unnecessary errors yet. The closest to that has been that play by Bryson Adaka, who seemed like he almost fumbled the ball, but it was his silky tips of the fingers that managed to collect it, and the Kenyans maintain possession. The Zambians, on the other hand, have not done poorly on their own, but they have squandered their first chance at points, a penalty, and you believe that they need to get their heads better into this game, because as things stand, they are already on the back foot.
Yeah, Kenya with a dominating possession and territory, and Zambia will need to get out of their half if they are to come away with any points. It troubled them on Saturday against Uganda, where they were playing well, but they were attacking from deep in their half, and they were not able to actually get into the Ugandan 22 consistently enough to get some points. Right now, the referee is having some words with Ali Bika, the captain of the Zambian team. Now, Ali Bika is the longest serving player of the Zambian team. He made his debut in 2009 as an 18-year-old. So he's been playing for a long time for Zambia. He originally played for Lusaka Rugby Club before moving to Mufulira Rugby Club, where he is the captain now.
Yeah, that is a good servant indeed. Captain for club and country, longest serving man. He wears his honors with pride. He raises his shoulders high when he moves, because Zambia rugby really should be indented to a character of such glorious magnitude. Line out for the Kenyans now. Doing very well in the air, Hilary Odhiambo. The Zambians have tactically collapsed this one, and referee Utimba's hand is already stretched out for a Kenya advantage. Nyambua, the captain, takes the carry now. And the ball is now in the custody of John Kubu, who attempts a very dubious kick to the corner. It is gathered very well by the Kenyans, Joel Nzuga. And you can say try time, all the way from Kenya. Joel Nzuga manages to maintain his composure, and what remarkable anticipation to lay onto John Kubu's kick. Pick that ball up, managed to wrestle it out of the Zambian opposition and cross over for try time to extend the Kenyans' lead.
What a debut for Joel Inzuga. He is one of the 5 debutants who have started this game. There is Hilary Mwanjilwa, Ibrahim Ayo, Hilary Odhiambo, Jinson Misoga, Alfred Orege, Paul Mutsami, and Joel Inzuga. There are actually 7 debutants in the starting lineup and 5 who are seated pretty on the bench waiting for their opportunity to represent Kenya. A little tidbit fact for those who may not be aware, but Jone Kubu is actually Fijian, but he has chosen to play for Kenya, and he's been playing for Kenya for a while. He was part of that team that played Zambia in 2021, and in that game he was playing as the fly half. Today he's playing at 15. He has had 2 touchline conversions, 1 crossfield kick. His lucky boots are definitely on.
Yeah, indeed, he's the man with the 2 conversions and the assist off the boot for the second try. Very well done by the Kenyans. They take their lead to 14 points to 0, and you can see Thomas Mwankenja and Alex Mwewa already asking questions of each other as the Zambian plan seems to be falling apart in the early hours of the game. Kaushiku now. Ibrahim Ayo, another debutant, is airlifted to collect that ball. And there seems to be a penalty and probably a yellow card coming for Hilary Fatsomwashi. Fortunately for him, referee Utimba deems it as a knock-on rather than an interception of play. It really looked very much like a penalty in every fashion of the word. But referee Utimba is soberer than most judges on their day, and you believe that you got that call right.
Yeah, get out of jail card for Zambia. It's not a penalty for Kenya. So it will be a scrum. And we shall see how both front rows hold up in this wet pitch. Yeah, as predicted, the ground is not quite firm, and so the referee is going to have to reset the scrum. And now the front rows will have an idea of what they'll have to do to keep their feet for the reset scrum.
Yeah, World Rugby referee Nigel Owens was making comments, and he mentioned that the referee's job is one of the most difficult to do lately, because every time you move, every call you make, every single decision, every moment of play, there are players shouting in your ears, there are fans yelling all sorts of suggestions, and you have to be very composed. And so far, as it is here at Kyadondo, Ronald Utimba is doing a very good job maintaining his calm in this game. Looks a very untidy scrum down right there, but the referee says it's okay to play the ball on, and the Kenyans are now in motion. Johnny Kubu, another one of his kicks, trying for a 50-22, but the Zambians are watching this time round. It is David Chimbukulu, can be a very hard runner and can be a problem for defenders. Not this time though. Mulenga Mwewa into Rogers Mukupa, who carries a significant amount of ground forward. Mwewa again for Firi. Daniel Nkunda with the chicken wing pass, and the ball is... you really do not love to see moments like that, because a prop going out of his way to try and swing the ball into his winger, and it is just a wavelength that does him short. He had heralded the backliner in him. He had looked for Alex Moore, who seemed to be like in acres of space, but unfortunately the ball goes out for a Kenyan line out.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that Alex Mewa wasn't able to get on the end of that pass. He was a very exciting player for Zambia, caused Uganda all sorts of problems on Saturday, so it would have been good to see him with ball in hand. Mistaking the lineup for Kenya that has gifted Zambia possession, and their excellent ball carrying forwards have now an opportunity to run at the Kenyans.
Ferocious stuff right there from the Zambians from the moment they picked that line out of the cherry. Big hits. Feta Firi in there carrying heavily, Rogers Mukupa carrying heavily, and now a penalty to reward those efforts, and Alex Mwewa will be looking for the touch.
Yeah, in this Zambian team, there are a couple of players, 6 of them that that featured in the last game they had against Kenya. You have Mwashi, and then of course Bika, the captain, Sakala, Mwankenja, Mukupa, Chimbukulu, and Koloko, Sikawona, and Mwashi on the bench.
Yeah, the crowd is coming alive. The rugby, you love to see a little bit of physicality in there, a little push and shove, just to remind us that this is indeed a game played by the gentle people, but made up of ruffians. The Zambians now have the line out going their favor, and Pekka Firi picks that one right out of the sky. They set up Rogers Mukupa, very good ball carrier, and a very good try scorer. And now they recycle again. Koloko David tried to kick that one into the sky, and the ball is knocked forward by the Zambians and collected by the Kenyans. Here they come again. It's Teddy Akala setting it up for Barry Young into his fly half Brian Wahinya. Some footballing skills there from the try scorer Joel Nzuga. And another wonderful kick for the response from David Koloko. John Skubu says, I too have something up my sleeve off the boot. He responds with it, and David Chimbukulu will be predictably sending this one back or not. He goes physical just the way he knows how. And now Zambia set up shop just a little back in their half. The Kenyans seeming very unsteady with their hands, but luckily they are positioning themselves right to drop the ball back into their half rather than forward. Now George Nyambua, the captain, throws the pass back to whom it may concern, and the Zambians are now on the chest with Mulenga Mwewa collecting Brian Wahinya there. Rack time for the men in red. Ball out. Johnson Misoga, the 8th man, is on his knees. The referee calls for the Zambians to release. Barry Young with yet another ball-starring kick into the hands of David Chimbukulu, who seeks out for David Koloko into Rogers Mukupa. Rogers Mukupa now, he just manages to hold it on with Alfredo Rege, grabbing his shots, making sure he goes nowhere else. Now there is Pekka Firi in waiting. Pekka Firi in collection, makes his carry, and the Zambians win yet another penalty.
Kenya is giving away a lot of penalties at the breakdown. This is something that they have to watch out for. They're giving away penalties both in defense and attack. In this case, the referee blew them for not holding their own weight. So the Kenyans had hands first on the ground when they were trying to pilfer the ball. So Zambia has a chance to get into Kenya's 22 with the kick. Not quite into the 22, but they are at least out of their half, and they've released the pressure a bit from them. The previous line out they had went pretty well for them. They didn't maul it. They chucked it out to the back line straight away, and they're probably thinking of doing the same thing.
The line out will now go the way of Zambia as they continue to search for something in this game. Still early days, still first half, and it's a 14-point game. A lot can change. The line out goes searching for Pekka Firi, but it is not thrown straight by Al Nazir Bika. He's had only 4 days to rest those arms from suspending them time and time again at the throw, and you could say it is showing. However, the scrum goes Kenya's way, rightfully so, and the Zambians will now have to dig deeper from their core to be able to respond to the physical challenge that the Kenyans are about to present.
Yeah, the Zambians are pretty good with ball in hand. They just have to work out a way to retain possession. They keep giving away possession cheaply. They did the same thing on Saturday. They can hold on to possession better today, then they might be able to turn up a good result. Although history is not on their side, the last time that Zambia won a game against Kenya was in 1976, when they toured Nairobi, where they won by 23 points to 9. But since then, they have not won any games against Kenya.
John Kubu with a searching kick deep into the Zambian 22, but David Koloko sends it away to exit, and his response flies just over our heads, and the Kenyans will be back to orchestrate a line out just outside the halfway line in the Zambian territory. It is good to see the impact of the young players, the players from the under-20 Bates tournament, many of whom have made their national team debuts for the big sides. We saw some from the Zambian team last weekend and today. And the Kenyans too have a number of names. But right now they are on the move, and it was one of those young men, Paul Mutsami, who had worked matters very well over there, letting it for John Kubu, who had to improvise with the pass over there. Now the Zambians, have they turned this over? Yes, they have, very easily, and they will be working from that base with Mulenge Mwewa. Gives it to Rogers Mukupa. And Mulenga Mwewa, I do not know what he was attempting there really, but he has kicked that ball out on full, and we shall be back for a line out for Kenya in Zambian territory.
Yeah, Zambia have realized that they cannot afford to play in their half. So Mulenga was trying to win some territory, but unfortunately he was not accurate enough, and the ball went out on the full, handing Kenya a line out on the 10. Though I think better line out on the 10 than Kenya with possession in the 22. The Zambian defense has been good so far. Just that rolling maul that they failed to contain early on in the game being the one blip so far.
Hilario Jambo is having a field day at the line out. There is a ball that is bouncing clumsily here, but Brian Wahinya does well to collect it. And Zambia turned them over yet again. Very good work on the physical side by the men from the south. Long ball out to Alex Mwewa now. Can he band the gas? Alex Mwewa, he has Barry Young for cover. Goes with a very intelligent cross kick for Terry Kaushiku. And Kaushiku does not get his hand sorted out, and he knocks that ball out. Oh my God, Alex Mwewa, what was that? One for the cameras indeed.
Yeah, Terry Kaushiku should be kicking himself, because if he had caught that ball, possibly he would be under the sticks by now, converting his own try. But this has given us a glimpse of what Alex Mwewa is capable of. Bags of pace, and in this case, he was well covered by the Kenyan defense. So just putting through that kick for the support play that he had infield. Unfortunately, his fly half wasn't able to hold onto that ball, and Kenya have a scrum on the 22, and they have survived points from Zambia.
Very, very jittery fingers from Terry Kaushiku there, who has been very good so far in the game and was very outstanding in their game over the weekend. You would expect that he had to collect that because he had Kapelele Kasitu and Butemwe Koloko for support. There was acres of space in front of him. You felt that that was their chance, and it has gone begging. And John Skubo with that telepathic connection yet again with Joel Nzuga. Yet again, it almost worked out, but Nzuga just replicated Kaushiku's antics here off the kick from Alex Mwewa. And now the Kenyans are back to benefit from an advantage for poor scrummaging by the Zambians.
Yeah, the Zambians really struggled under that scrum, and we saw the same thing happening to them against Uganda, and they actually gave away a penalty try. So they are going to have to sort out their scrummaging very early in this game, because if Kenya feel that Zambia are easy pickings in the scrum, every time they get into the 22 and they have a penalty, they will most likely be going for the scrum to be able to perhaps get a penalty try. Ephraim Odwor, 20 capped player for Uganda, for Kenya, having some words with his hooker before that line out happened.
You would understand because our names are very similar, but very good handwork by the Kenyans now. Joel Nzuga involved yet again, and they're moving. Here comes Ibrahim Ayo. Ibrahim Ayo manages to pass that ball in contact. Very intelligent offload. Now Brian Wahinya tries to dummy pass George Nyambua, and they are coming. Elkeans Musonye sets up. Here they come again. Will it be try time? Yes, it is. Another debutant. I'm telling you, it is debutant's day out, and it is Paul Mutsami, the third try of the day for the Kenyans, scored by a third debutant on the list, and the coach must be beaming in glee over there because it is working. It is working just good.
Yes, some excellent hands by Kenya. They kept that ball alive. There were barely any rucks, but once the Kenyan player hit the ground, the scrum off was there very fast. Barry Young getting that ball out very fast to the next receiver, and it gave Zambia no time at all to reset their defense line. And it ended up with a very, very good try to debutant Paul Mutsami. Kenya slowly pulling away in this game, and it's going to be hard for Zambia to come back. And you sense that if they are to get back into this game, they're going to have to score points within the next 10 minutes.
Kubu Jones just kisses the upright over there, and the ball doesn't bounce off it in his favor. And the game will be 19 for the record, 0 to the Zambians, 19 to the Kenyans. I'm telling you, it really is debut day out. The boys are having a very good time, all the debutants. First was Hilary Odiambo, who's excelling, by the way, in his primary role as a lock, doing well in the line out when he jumps. And then there was Joel Nzuga, and then there is Paul Mutsami. Anyone with a star on their name on the team list might be crossing the whitewash later today. Terry Kaushiku to get us back underway. That is a penalty as clear as day on Hilary Mwanjilwa. He's a bit too aggressive. There's an ignition in him that is sending him wild, and he flies over that track very dangerously, and referee Ronald Utimba was looking him cold down the eye, and he called for the penalty, which Terry Kaushiku now will have a chance to convert and bring the game and put some points on the board, I should say, for the Zambians.
Yeah, Zambia win yet another penalty at the breakdown. With head coach Jerome Parwater away for Kenya, it is the assistant coaches Carlos Katwaya and Curtis Alwatch who are managing this Kenya team for the Victoria Cup. And Jerome Parwater will join the squad in Kisumu, but they're going to be very, very concerned about the number of penalties that they're giving away at the breakdown. And Zambia will be hoping to make good with this kick, with Terry Kaushiku hoping to land his first kick of the day.
The one flaw there is that Terry fails to manipulate the wind, but he had his distance and direction all right, but the blowing winds of Kyadondo swayed the ball to the left, and that is yet another opportunity that goes begging for the Zambians. John Kubu communicating with his players, telling them it's scratch time. I'm about to sky this one. Y'all better get ready on your feet. That's not a very good bounce, but in the end it turns out fortunate for David Koloko. He's muddled up by the Kenyans. And now Alex Mulenga Mwewa sends the ball to Terry Kaushiku, to Fete Firi, who gets it off him into Lawrence Lesser very quickly there. Alex Mwewa again, he has Bika, he sends a flat pass to Bika, who enters a wall of 3 Kenyan defenders. Now Peka Firi yet again goes down at the challenge of George Nyambua. And the Zambians are starting to work again. They're a very physical side, and you know that the Kenyans love themselves a very saucy physical affair. And now here's Butemwe Koloko, manages to weave past his tackler to set up David Koloko, his namesake. And the Zambians have enjoyed some bit of possession in the last few minutes. Captain Baker Nazir catches a hot potato, throws it forward, and we are back for an advantage for the Zambians. You wonder what this one was for. Yes, it was for Chakla not releasing, and now it should be Alex Mwewa to look for the touch, or maybe to go for the goal. Well, he says he'll go for the goal, and there will be a change in delegation of duty from Terry Kaushiku finding the black spot in the uprights. The shoulders of Alex Mwewa will now have the opportunity to feel the weight of that task. And he lines up one very well on one knee, tests the wind with a few leaflets of grass, says probably a prayer or two, and now gives himself the distance to execute the penalty.
Zambia have switched kickers from the unsuccessful Terry Kaushiku to David Koloko, and they'll be hoping to have better luck.
That's a sweet kick by Alex Mwewa.
Actually, Alex Mwewa.
Very, very deliciously done. Sliced like freshly cut vegetables, diced up like kachumbali. It is Zambia's first points of the day. And you feel that their fans have been silenced for way too long, but now you can see their flags are coming out in the stands as they sip on some nice special, while Brian Wahinya will be trying to rally his Kenyan team to remind them that let's get going. We shouldn't be shaken by that outcome.
Yeah, so Kenya now have to be wary of giving away any penalties around the halfway line, because Alex Mwewa has his kicking boots on and he's going to punish any mistake that Kenya makes from 50 meters on.
He's starting to rise into the game, Alex Mwewa, don't you think? He's getting more involved. But John Kubu at the back has been without blemish. Clumsy pass there. And the referee catches the Kenyans trying to run away with it, but he deems that the ball was passed forward. And even if they will be high-fiving themselves, it will be only for support, because right now you believe that the charge, that the conch is in the hands of the Zambians, who have a very juicy scrum down deep into Kenyan territory, just into their 22.
I think some complacency creeping in from Kenya, because they are comfortably up by 19 points to 3. They had lots of time to get that ball away, but they were a bit too casual, playing around in their 22. And when that loose pass went backwards, the Zambians pressed on them, and then Kenya ended up throwing a forward pass right on their 22.
Zambia yet again winning a penalty, and Rogers Mukupa will try to take this opportunity. Rogers Mukupa finds Alex Mwewa, but Alex Mwewa is marshaled outside by a ferocious tackle that comes off that man, the number 8, Jansen Misoga. Jansen Misoga is another debutant too, and you can see his hands are up there. He's trying to say, guys, you all left me. You left me out there. Alex Mwewa trying to be the man that stands up to the occasion for the Zambians. And now they will have a chance to work it again. Kapelele Kasitu, Tumutemwe Koloko, he had David Chimbukulu for support, but the Kenyans come quickly and turn this over and now win a penalty of their own.
Yeah, you felt when Rogers Mukupa started that quick, when he had sucked in a few of the Kenyan defenders. If he had given Alex Mwewa that ball, he had quite a bit of space, and he either would have rolled his way over the try line or would have used his dancing feet to skip past the Kenyans. But he gave him the ball way too late when the Kenyan defense was already on him. The second attempt for a penalty tap resulted in the Kenyans shutting down the Zambian defense and then turning over the ball, and they're able to clear their lines. Oh, a mistake by Jone Kubu, very unusual mistake for him, and Zambia have an opportunity to attack.
That was indeed very uncharacteristic from John Kubu, failing to find touch. But take nothing away from the Kenyan defense there, because Gianson Misoga and that young man Joel Nzuga at the wing have put in very good work to defend Alex Mwewa the first time and to defend Butemwe Koloko the second. Kubu now manages to skip past his marksman. And now Barry Young looks like he has found some space. Releases Teriakada. And you would believe that George Nyambua wouldn't be the man to knock on a ball given his experience on this team. But he is the culprit that loses the ball forward. And the Zambians have another penalty yet again for a high tackle. And you wonder what decision it will be, considering that the last time they tried to kick for, they tried a tap and go. They did not yield the dividends they had anticipated. You could see early that Rogers Mukupa was trying to point for the goal. And rightfully so. Alex Mwewa, will he be 2 times lucky? We await to see the outcome as he lines up yet another penalty attempt for the Zambians. And speaking of experience, I think alongside John Nyambua, there are 2 very notable names to mention on the Kenyan squad. That is LKN's Musonye and Ephraim Odur. Musonye plays for Menengai Oilers and Odur plays for Cabras, and each of these 2 players have 20 caps to their name, 14 below Nyambua. Alex Mwewa's kick this time sways wide, and we shall be restarting with the 22 dropout in favor of the Kenya Simbas.
Yeah, he certainly has the range. I mean, there was still quite a number of meters on that kick, but just the accuracy wasn't quite there for him, just sailing slightly to the right of the uprights. And so the score remains 19 points to 3.
The wind being a pain in the Zambian boot, quite literally speaking, because they have tried thrice and only gained once. Now what a run, very characteristic by Rogers Mukupa. Does a fancy drop there and collects again. Now Terry Kashiku finds Firi into David Koloko into Kapelele Kasitu. But the tackle from Elkian's Musonye is very bustling. Peter Firi, yet again another carry by the Zambians. Mulenga Mwewa coming quickly. Terry Kashiku is waiting for it on the outside. Terry Kashiku into Hilary Mfacho. And the Kenyans are deemed to have been offside. Hilary Mfacho there lost the coordination between his eyes, his brain, and his hands. And one part of that body was not working in unit with all the other 3 needed for him to collect that pass. But it was a good pass. He was running on, and the Kenyan tackle on him, offside as it was, really stopped him from being very dangerous with that run because he seemed fully charged. Zambia with another attempt at goal.
Yeah, I mean, the Zambia attack is coming together, and they're putting together some great phases of play. Something to be noted is that before this year's Victoria Cup, Zambia's last international match was in 2021. And they had no international games at all in 2022. So Saturday's game against Uganda was the first international game that they'd had since 2021. So the team is rather rusty. But the second game, you can see there's more cohesion than they had against Uganda in the first game. And Terry Kaushiko has been given back the kicking duties. And this time he is successful to nail the 3 points for Zambia. And it's currently 19 points to 6.
You know, if the Zambians had managed to convert all their penalty attempts this afternoon, it would be a totally different story at the moment. They would be much closer to the Kenyan scoreboard, if not even ahead. But here they are, trying to keep collecting. John Kubu, that's a very wonderful kick for kickoff, but Rogers Mwankenja is up to the task. Does very well. Peter Firi is the next man to exchange with the Kenyan defense. Very aggressive play by the Kenyans. And Terry Kaushiku is trying to test John Kubu here, who does very well now. He has Alex Mwewa for the face. John Kubu goes for the chip. Rogers Mukupa is in there, and Kubu has him, by the way. It is not the size match you would look for. It is actually a size mismatch, but it does the job all right from John Kubu. Now Zambia in possession. Mulenga Mwewa into his captain. Now time to exit. And Terry Kaushiku does just that. And we shall restart with the line out for the Simbas.
Yeah, Zambia's exit strategy is rather shaky because something something of note from Saturday is that Mulenga Mwila doesn't have a box kick, so he has to allow the forwards to set up. Then he can get the ball out to either Terry Kaushiku or David Koloko to exit from the 22. So they are rather shaky on that, and it can be easy to charge them down since it's very obvious what they have up their sleeves.
Ojambo again. Nyambua, dummy run from Paul Mutsami, the try scorer. Now Barry Young up on it. Where will his option be? Ibrahim Ayo is the one that receives that ball. Now they're running Hilary Mwanjilwa. Ibrahim Ayo, a few thoughts ahead of everyone else. And now the try scorer is here running it, while it's like Thomas Mwankenja and Jenkins Musonyi are having a game of their own, while the referee waves play on this side. Kenya still coming at it. Johnson Misoga. Rogers Mwankenja and Misonyi are not yet done over there, but the game is going on very fine. Game is going on just fine here. Very interesting. That is rugby. Focus on getting the try. Kenya still huffing and puffing at the Zambian defense. Elkins Musonye straight out of the punches into the fray now. Kenya working with a lot of patience. You need to be very calculated in moments like this. You are very close. You do not want to lose the ball because that would mean that you're going to have to lose all the territory you have gained and give away all the hard work you've put in all those phases that the Kenyans have put together so far. Here they come again. John Nyambua does very well. Ibrahim Ayo. And the referee will call us back for an advantage, most probably to the Kenyans. Yes, it is. And Paul Mutsami, quite try-hungry, the debutant this afternoon. Looks like he wants to scratch that one and catch the Zambians lacking. What's the call there by the Kenyan captain? They say go to the corner. Let's try to put something together from here. And that will be the case. That will be the story of the moment as Teddy Akala runs up to hook in yet another Kenyan line out and try to see if this time their running maul can provide direct dividends from the air.
Yeah, Zambia has not had an answer so far to Kenya's rolling maul. So, unfortunately for Kenya, they lost that line out, and this was a get out of jail card for Zambia, and they'll be looking to exit.
With the hooter gone, David Chimbukulu says he's hard enough, puts that ball into touch, and that will be the tale of the first half. 19 points from the team playing their first fixture in the Victoria Cup, and 6 points to the Zambians who are playing their final fixture of the first leg as we wait for the next fixtures that will be upcoming. From the game that we've seen, the Kenyans seem like they have everything going for them. They've had 3 tries scored and only 1 conversion missed. Their debutants are up to the scratch. They are experienced players, of which they are also not so experienced because 34 caps for the most capped player is really low for a team like Kenya. So you might say they've put out a very young squad today and it is performing quite well. There's a second half to come. Helen, what are your expectations?
Yeah, Kenya has not made it a secret that they are using the Victoria Cup and the Elgon Cup games as part of their build-up for 2027. As much as 13 of the players in the 33-man squad that has traveled to Uganda are debutants. The rest have been in action for Kenya, either during the Curry Cup that they played earlier this year in South Africa, or they featured for Kenya last year in the World Cup qualifiers in France.
Well,
While Zambia has had 5 opportunities to score through kicks, and they have missed 3 kicks and managed to convert 2. So they have 6 points, and Kenya have 19. And we're going for the halftime break. See you in the second half.
yeah.
of the Victoria Cup. Today we have Kenya taking on Zambia. This is the second match of the Victoria Cup. Uganda won the first game against Zambia by 30 points to 8. And this is Zambia's second game and Kenya's first game. And Zambia will be hoping to turn the tables in the second half if they are to have any hope of winning the Victoria Cup for the very first time. The last time the Victoria Cup was played was in 2019, and Zimbabwe was one of the teams. It was a 4-team Victoria Cup, and Zimbabwe actually won the title. They went through unbeaten. Zimbabwe hasn't taken part this year. They were unable to due to financial constraints, but they will definitely field a side in the Victoria Cup next year. This year, none of the women's teams are playing, but Uganda and Kenya women will take part in the Elgon Cup, but only in the second leg, as Kenya have just returned to Kenya from Dubai, where they took part in the WX3. So they'll be resting and will miss the first leg of the Elgon Cup.
We shall start the second half on a note of correction. The try scorer for Kenya was not, the first try scorer was not, as we said, Hilary Odiambo, but rather it was the experienced Ephraim Oduo from Cabra Sugar on his 20th cap for the Simbas. Now a line out, early days for the Kenyans. Up and down. They're already back in motion. There is some crisscrossing play there, obstruction, and referee Mutimba calls for a penalty for the Zambians. You believe this decision should be obvious. There is a way they are earning points that's working for them, and you wouldn't want them to deviate from that. And the cone is delivered speedily there. And Terry Kaushiku will have another chance to bring Zambia within 10 points of the game.
Yeah, the second half started on a false note for Kenya. They were unable to field the kickoff, and the ball bounced into touch. It was still their ball as no one got a hand to it, but then they messed up the lineup, the line out by obstruction. And a penalty was given to Zambia, and they have an opportunity to put some points on board in the second half. This time it sails through for Terry Kaushika. He seems to have found his kicking boots, and Zambia have closed the gap. And they now have 9 points from 3 penalty kicks. Currently, when you look at the World Rugby rankings, Zambia is number 68, while Kenya is number 33 in the World Rugby official rankings. So quite a gap between the two teams.
The Zambians calling for mark. But it wasn't awarded because you cannot call one from the kickoff. That is good touch found. And Jenson Misoga will be letting it down for his countryman Terry Akada. Oh, Terry Akala, yes. To resume from the line out. Misoga does well in the air. Now Brian Wahinya into Elkans Musonye. Kenya on advantage for a high tackle by the Zambians just at the halfway line. And Ibrahim Ayo now in possession. Ayo does well to floor Isaac Sakala. Here they come again. Brian Wahinya gathers it like a rolling moss, and there is a fat emphatic hit by Alfred Orege. Feel it right in your nerves. Elkan Musonye with another huge hit of his own on Isaac Sakala. And now the Kenyans enjoying yet another advantage. Barry Young chips it in cleverly behind the defense. It goes into touch, and we shall be back for the advantage. A penalty to the Kenyans. We've seen some big hits there, delivered by Alfred Orege first, and then another by Elkens Musonye, smashing stuff. That is the physicality you'll be wanting from your players, and you would expect the Zambians to always be an expectation as well of that, because Kenya is one of the more physical sides. They are known for it, reputed for it world over. So when you come to play against them, you expect that some things of that nature should happen, and you should prepare accordingly. 19.
You guys switched off this mic.
Kenya ball. Brought it nicely and collected by Teddy Akala now at the back of the mall. The mall is moving. The referee thinks it's fair. Kenya ball, posing very serious questions of the Zambian defense at the moment. The ball is lost somewhere deep in that mall, and it keeps moving forward and forward. Finally, it comes to its feet, and Barry Young brings it out. Looks like it went to John Nyambwa there. Nah, rather, it was the support of Ogere. Further play. Nyambwa now on the ball. Tries to chauffeur it forward. Manages to throw it just back. And Elkens Musonye, very aggressive in his run, the flanker. Barry Young brings it now out. That's a huge fend by the Kenyans. They just patched outside the 5 of the Zambians, trying to make their way in. And way in they have made. They are edging ever closer to the try line. A couple of more phases you feel could yield very good results, but it looks like Barry Young is going to play this back to Brian Wahinya. Long ball out to Elkens Musonye. He looked like he had gone, but he stopped just short, and Barry Young now has to think of something outside the box. Ibrahim Ayo meets a very robust Zambian defense. Here they come again, Ephraim Odro, the try scorer, the first try scorer in the first half, trying to be the first try scorer in the second. But the tackle is good now, and referee Utimba will have something to say. It looks like a tackle was complete, and he was calling on the Zambians to release. So it should be that he might be awarding the Kenyans a penalty. We await his decision. He seems to be going through consultation with his touchline judges. And we will be finding out what Utimba's call is. Helen, how was the second half? How has it started?
Yeah, it started brightly for Zambia, but Kenya have rallied, and they've found their way too close to the try line through just building patient phases, using their forwards. Nothing fancy, just keeping the ball in hand and grinding forward slowly. I believe Wutimba stopped play because there was a Zambian player who had been down for quite a while, receiving medical attention, and the Kenyans were playing quite close. So he has consulted with his ARs, but he most likely will restart the game with a scrum down to Kenya on the 5.
Remember, if you're watching this stream, it is brought to you live, facilitated by Kawawa Sports, one of the homegrown rugby brands in Uganda, and one of the best performing alongside Rugby Pass, so that you can see this action on a global scale, because rugby, as you've seen, is a game that transcends all borders. That's why John Kubu, born in Fiji, Fijian descent, is representing Kenya. This is a game that brings us all together as one human race. And thank you, Rugby Pass, for putting it on the global stage. Of course, much credit also goes to the rugby unions of Kenya, Zambia, and Uganda, who have effortlessly worked to bring these games. Oh no, not effortlessly. I think it was actually a tireless effort. Yes, they worked so hard to make these games happen, and because of that, we are able to enjoy action weekend in, through the week, and weekend again. Thank you very much, KRU, Zambia Rugby Union, and Uganda Rugby Union.
In the meantime, we are still seeing the players just managing to have a few moments of team talk, but we still do not know what referee Utimba's decision is going to be to restart the game, as Zambian player looks like either Rogers Mukupa or Thomas Mwankenja that's on the floor still receiving some medical attention. Medical break done, and the game will be restarting now with a penalty for Kenya, and that is for not releasing, most definitely. And the Kenyans, being the physical team, call for a scrum at the 5, and now it is up to Zambia to respond and keep them at bay. Will it be an easy task? That is what me and you are set to see in the next minutes of the game as they unfold. Remember, referees are always cautioned that a scrum down must be very safe for all the players, because this is a part where they use their heads and the necks very, very much, and they expose them to a lot of friction and action. So referees are always cautious to see that a scrum is set very well to ensure the safety of these players. So if you see them go over and over again trying to reset it, they're just trying to make sure it is done right. And that was one of the occasions, as you've just seen. And we shall now resume with another attempt by the Kenyan. Kenya now with a scrum. Misoga peels off very unpredictably. Brian Wahinya has an overlap on the other side, and it is John Kubu who registers straight time, and the old guard of the Kenyan side now getting on the action. It has been a debutant day so far, but John Kubu, the man with the conversions, the man with that meticulous assist off the boot, finally is on end of one of those Kenyans moving scrum downs, picking it off Jenkins Misoga, and he goes to ground it and extend the Kenyan lead to 24 points with a conversion pending.
Yeah, very simple scrum down from Kenya. They didn't opt to go for the shove. They got that ball very fast out through a number 8 pick, and then you had a number of backline players lined up on the right side of the pitch, causing a huge overlap that Zambia could not defend. If Johnny Kubu hadn't been able to score that try, he still had another 2 backline players on his right who would have been able to dot down very easily. Very simple try for Kenya, and they've increased their lead by quite a bit. And you sense that the game is beginning to run away from Zambia at this point, and they really have to dig deep if they are to be able to get back into this game.
John Kubu this time. Oh no. He just falls just short. From where I am, it looked like he had done that with a lot of ease. Looked like it was going right below, but he missed. And it will remain 24-9. And the Zambians now have to pull their socks up, because once again, it is a 15-point game. Kaushiku does very well, and Johnson Misoga does even better. Now it is Kenyan ball. Barry Young, what a box kick from the young man. But Alex Mwewa is on it. He's already shown that he can be a danger man for the Zambians. And here they come yet again with Lawrence Lessa. The bulky prop does some moving. Terry Kaushiku now. Ball moves out. And that is one hell of a bear hug tackle by Elkeans Musonye. physical stuff. Pekafiri looks like he's lost that ball forward. Yes, he has. And the Kenyans will restart this game with a scrum down. The Zambians look like they've brought in a new face. It looks like
that is Raymond Mwashi, who has come on for Kapelele Kasitu at 13.
yes, Raymond Mwashi is welcomed into the action. He seems like he's already getting into the thick of it because he was the recipient of that mid-rib tackle from Elkean's Musonye, who has been very busy all game long and will be busy now with the Kenyan scrum. In fact, he has made a makeshift technical change with Janson Musonga, and now Elkean's Musonye is at 8th man. Kenya ball, fed in by Barry Young. You can hear the players huffing and puffing at this scrum as it goes. And Elkean's Musonye yet again is the custodian of the ball. And he loses it forward, but the Kenyans are playing on advantage, and it's a penalty. You believe there will be somebody being sent to the sin bin if they are not very careful with referee Utimba's instructions now. He seems to be saying them out with such sternness to Al Nazir Bika and Rogers Mukupa. And Brian Wahinya will now be looking for the touch. Sweet escape for the Kenyans. They had lost that ball forward. The Zambians were looking to try and make it work from the start, but they had given away a penalty already, and the Kenyans will now go for another showing of their aerial prowess with the line out. The Zambians will be making some changes now, introducing Bathlock Sikawene. He was lightning in his last game against Uganda. He comes on to replace it should be Isaac Sakala. Yes, Isaac Sakala makes way for Bathlock, and the other player that has come on is Hilary Mnangawa. And Hilary Mnangawa has come on to replace Peka Firi. That's that for the Zambians. Those are the changes they have made. And the new men will be looking to put a shoulder in the game as we restart at the line out.
Yeah, Kenya yet to make any changes, but you can see the substitutes warming up. So the coaches will introduce them into the game at some point. You sense perhaps within the next 10 minutes or so. And Zambia have called for a blood bin.
Actually, it wasn't Peka Firi that moved out. It was Lawrence Lesa and Isaac Sakala who made way the first time. And now it looks like Mabuchi Munyenyembe has come in to deputize while Peka Firi is out on the blood bin sub. Johnson Misoga just manages to edge into the 22. Brian Wahinya, dummy run from the fly half, and he gives away a penalty to the Zambians. The Kenyans are caught engaging from the side. They are not using the gate to enter the rack to contest it. And now Alex Moore will be trying to seek a chance for Zambia to go and work at a deeper line out by skying that ball over the plane as far as he can. And that's just as much as is done. And we'll restart with the Zambia line out. Zambia with the ball. A monstrous kick by Alex Moyo. Where will this one bounce? Johnny Kubu pushes it into touch. And you can see how he goes down in frustration. Because Alex Moyo, that was very intelligent by him. Just 6 distance, knows that the bounce can be awkward. And now all of a sudden, The Zambians who are working on a line out in their own half are now deep in the Kenyan 22 to orchestrate yet another one and probably get their first try of the game. Who knows? Johnny Kubu just manages to get his hands on that ball but doesn't do enough to keep it in. Goes out and clatters the sideboards, and he's right there still being stretched out as the Kenyans go to the bench to reshuffle their men.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful kick from Alex Mwewa. And that bounce had it going out, and Kubu tried to prevent that, because if it had gone out, it was going to be a 50-22, and that would have been Zambia's ball anyway. So he struggled to save that ball to avoid having a Zambian line out deep in the Kenya territory. Unfortunately, he got injured while making that attempt to prevent that ball going out. And he's receiving medical attention, while Pekka Firi makes his way back onto the pitch, and Maini Kaumba makes his way off as the blood bin is reversed.
Kenya, on the other hand, have handed yet more debutants their first minutes on the pitch, and Kenya Commercial Bank teammates there, Thomas Okidia and Will White Mususi, have just joined the fray alongside Brian Dirangu, the man from Menangayo. Now here is Bathlock Sikaona, one of the better ball carriers in this Zambian setup. Sets up for Mulenga Mwiwa, who does well to bring in Rogers Mukupa, another Tusky bulky man on the ball. Now Pekka Firi does his bidding. Goes to Terry Kaushiku, releases it just fast into the hands of David Koloko. Sells a dummy David Koloko and runs back on the inside. There are calls for a high tackle, but referee Utimba is unmoved, and Rogers Mukupa now brings a daunting hit onto the Kenyan defense. There is a man that's off his feet there in that Kenyan contest. Lawrence Leka, beautiful pass through his legs, searching for Pekka Firi. He had improvised the prop right there, just got the ball and swung it through the back of his legs, sent it outside. But referee Utimba has a big decision to make right now. It will be very interesting to see which one it will be, because certainly the ball didn't look like it had moved forward. And the way the Kenyans are huddling over there to speak, it looks like it might be Zambian ball. You never know, really. Referee Utimba will be making us know.
Yeah, it's definitely the Zambians' ball, because the referee had his hand out for a penalty advantage, and I believe he was warning the Kenyans probably about their persistent offsides at the breakdown, and in this case it was a high tackle. So this is something Kenya have to be careful about, because the referee has his eye on them. And if they're to repeat that, he'll probably be reaching into his pocket for a yellow card. And one of the Kenya players will be spending some time in the naughty chair. But right now we have Terry Kaushiku looking to add 3 points for Zambia through his boots.
In another very interesting substitution by the Kenyans to bring in Andrew Matoka, played in the Batez tournament under 20 in 2019, played the 2019 Under-20s World Cup and also the 2021 Batez tournament. Not very experienced at senior team level, but definitely a name to reckon with in the juniors. Terry Kaushiku now to give the Zambians an entry into the double points. He does. That's 12 points off the boot for the Zambians. They still have another 12 points to search for if they'll just to draw the game. They still have to look for 12 more points, so that's a minimum of at least 2 scores to get into that position. And you still feel like, you know, it's still game on. They've not yet scored tries, but they didn't enter double figures against Uganda, although they did not concede the tries so fast at this pace. Now Brian Wahinya sets us back on, and Mukupa fields. He's taken rather back by the Kenyans and loses that ball in contact. And now it is the Kenyan chance to pile more pressure on the Zambians. And indeed it is going to be so, because they have won a scrum down and they'll be working from just outside, just inside
the Zambian 22.
Yeah, Zambia have let themselves down by losing that ball forward and handing possession to Kenya in the 22. And this gives Kenya an opportunity to score yet another try. Zambia had an opportunity to try and reduce the deficit by winning possession and working their way up the pitch. The boot of Alex Mwewa has been getting them out of jail and finding good territory in the Kenyan half. But now Zambia will have to spend the next couple of minutes defending, first of all, the strong Kenya defense, and then the back line. And again, a very uncharacteristic mistake from Kenya. Just taking their eyes off the ball to look at the try line and to look at where the Zambian defense was. And they've basically given Zambia breathing space, and now it's their scrum down. However, Zambia's scrum was a bit shaky towards the end of the first half, and even the scrum wasn't quite so stable. So they'll be hoping that they'll be able to keep it stable enough and then get out of the 22 and into the Kenyan half.
It will be a very different complexion of a game if Zambia manages to get a try in this game. But from the way we've seen it, the Kenyans don't seem like they're about to wield. They are hold on to the lead. And let alone, they don't look like they're about to open any doors in their defense. They are not about to let any cracks break through. And the Zambians are going to struggle a lot to find defense if they are going to find the space if they are going to cross over the Kenyan whitewash. Alex Mwewa now to help them exit that territorial charge by the Kenyans and let them walk out from the line out yet again. Teddy Akala has had a very busy day, the Kenyan hooker. Many a time he has been tasked to go and throw that ball. The same was asked of Faraji Odugo of Uganda in the game against Zambia. This is a tactic of theirs that they've used very well over the last two games. It is just that this time their try-scoring man, Rogers Mugupa, is not moving into fullback position, as was the case with the Uganda game, which means Coach Lawrence Njovu did look at this game and prepared for it separately. Running maul now by the Kenyans. Clumsy ball and a smashing hit by Butemwe Koloko. Now Andrew Matoka gets past this first man, gets past Bathlock Sikawona, and is collected at the knees by Hilary Mfachomwashi. Kenya on the advantage. Bathlock Sikawona in a foot race with Brian Wahia, but the referee has already called for a penalty. Penalty to Kenya. Sikawona and Bryson Adaka seem totally oblivious of that fact. They are still marshalling each other over there at the end. But all that said and done, we'll still come back and restart play from the mark that referee Utimba has awarded.
Yeah, the roar from the crowds as well as the adrenaline causing blood to roar in their ears prevented the players from hearing the whistle. And when they finally realized the whistle had blown, there were some pleasantries exchanged between the Kenyan and Zambian players as Brian Wahinya kicks the ball into touch in the 22 to give Kenya a good attacking platform for this line out.
Couple of changes to the Kenyan starting team. We've seen Derek Ashiindu stepping into the game alongside Brian Dirangu, as earlier mentioned. So about 5 subs orchestrated by the Kenyan technical team. Brian, it is Ibrahim Ayo at the back of the mall right now. Here they come again. The try scorer, Paul Mutsami. Ball comes out to Brian Dirangu. Kenya time for the Feathers, and it looks like Thomas Okidi had been set up in the gap. Ibrahim Ayo, that's a big hit on 2 men. And Nazir Baker looks like he remained down a bit. That was a ball that was going straight into the hands of Joel Inzuga. But the referee was playing on the advantage. And the Kenyans are back for yet another penalty, while the Zambian captain stays down for medical attention. Looked like he received a knee to the head
from Ibrahim Ayo in that late charge.
This will be very concerning for Zambia if their captain will have to come off. He's the most experienced player in this team, keeps a cool head, and just basically motivates the team and keeps them going forward even when the chips are down. We can see Mabuchi Munyenyembe warming up on the touchline just in case Ali Nazibika has to come off the pitch. Yeah, so far Kenya has tried to dominate play with their forwards, carrying the ball, making big hits, but Zambia has held up quite firmly, containing the forwards. But once Kenya shifts that ball out wide to the back line, then Zambia has had some trouble preventing the Kenyans from either breaking the line or getting over the try line.
That's for sure. I think the Kenyan center pairing of Paul Mutsami and his friend Bryson Adaka has really given the Zambian defense some headache to deal with this afternoon.
Yeah, and the Ugandans will be watching carefully as they will be playing Kenya on Sunday. However, Kenya has 13 debutants in this team, and so you sense that their team on Sunday may change completely. Knowing that they're playing 68th ranked Zambia, they probably decided to give a number of the youngsters a run out and blood them for future games.
The penalty for Kenya is kicked into touch by Andrew Matoka, who has replaced John Kubu. The Fijian has run his day indeed. Oh, I'll rather say the Kenyan, given the shirt he's pulling on today. He really has played his part, scored a try, got an assist, converted twice. He's been a very good player for the Kenyan all afternoon long. And Andrew Matoka has big boots to fill at the back of the team there. Kenyan maul time now. Will they find the rhythm? Oh yes, it looks like they have. But I only stopped on the outside. Now Barry Young brings in Bryson Adaka. He's driven back, given all the transport money into the 5. And now another penalty advantage for the Kenyans. They've camped, you guess, in the Zambian 5 right now. They are doing all their work from there, their decision making, their team talks. They're doing all that in the Zambian 5, and here they are again with the line out at the Zambian 5.
Yeah, earlier on, the Zambians looked like they had found a solution to Kenya's rolling maul, but just at this line out, they were perhaps guilty of collapsing that maul deliberately, and the referee came back for a penalty. Clean line out again, and Kenya have got the maul going.
There's a couple of balls bouncing around the pitch rather. But Zambia have very uncharacteristically turned that ball over from the Kenyans in the lineouts. Wow, very well done by the Zambians. Now you believe Mulenga Mwewa should go for a box kick. Rather, he looks for his namesake Alex Mwewa to kick them away. And Alex Mwewa does very well, sends the Kenyans deep. And he finds, the kick was so good, Andrew Matoka picks it, but he couldn't. The momentum of it was just too much to keep him on the pitch. He stepped just out, and the Zambians have won a line out. Oh, it looks like the referee says the ball was kicked out straight by the Kenyans. By the Zambians rather, so it will be a Kenyan line out instead, as Peter Waitere, the second last debutant not to be on the pitch right now, has finally jumped on, and it is only Dan Angwech, the man from Cabra Sugar, that has not yet got his chance, but you believe he will get it today. Mutsami Paul. Andrew Matoka. Andrew Matoka with a gap. Basketball pass. Andrew Matoka on the outside. Big ferocious hit by Derek Ashiyindu. Now the Kenyans coming yet again. Another hit by Peter Waitere. Set up for Barry Young. He pulls it out. And Hilary Odiambo now is the man to do the honors. Brian Wahenya is backing all sorts of instructions. They come again, the Kenyans. It is Will White Mususi. And that is a big, big tackle. Dragging him so many meters back. Pekafiri. There was the chest pump. He has won a very lovely turnover against Bariyang Pekafiri. But what a tackle that was. Carried him about a meter or two back. And on top of that, got the penalty. Now Alex Mwewa will be looking for a mark to help the Zambians to try and find something out of this game. Just 12 points separate the two teams. It is still very much an open fixture. Well, how's that for a kick?
How good has Pekafiri been today at the breakdown? That is not his first turnover today. At almost every breakdown, you can see that headgear, and you can be sure that's Pekafiri, as he's the only Zambian player with headgear. But he has been immense for Zambia today at the breakdown, and yet another turnover and another get out of jail card for Zambia.
The lineout was good, but it wasn't well executed. Good height on it, but ball was lost. The tap from Pekafiri wasn't enough for the Zambians to secure it. That looked like a clean turnover, does Wutimba say? No, he says it was diving into the rack and is letting the Kenyans play on the advantage now. Bryce Sonadaka. Kenyan time. Brian Wahinyi onto and awaiting Peter Waitere. Waitere dummies into the back line now. Here they come again. Will White Mususi. Mususi out to George Nyambua. George Nyambua tries to pass, releases and carries again. Barry Young brings it out. Mususi with a big hit. Mususi. Further out to Brian Wahinya. Brian Wahinya into Terry Akala. The Kenyans now look to make their entrance into the 22, and they will by way of penalty if any other way fails. Zambians caught offside yet again, and the Kenyans have done their part, and now they'll be up to a very big decision to make. Will they go for the points, or should they keep trying to score tries because they already have a very healthy lead? We are waiting to see what decision they'll make.
Yeah, referee Utimba having enough of Pekafiri's antics, slowing down play deliberately at the breakdown as he tried to pilfer that ball, and he has been sent to the sin bin for the next 10 minutes to contemplate his sins. A huge blow for Zambia. He has been immense for them in this game, and they do not want to be down to 14 men when they're trying to get a comeback going.
Kenya to start play with Andrew Matoka. Matoka finds the touch, and the game will go by way of line out. Kenya Airways incoming in the line out. Finally, Dan Angwech, the final substitute, makes his way on for Barry Young. Being a very good scrum half, Barry Young today. He has kept the Kenyans right on their toes, picking that ball out and feeding it in, letting his players run and walk all the time. And it is now up to Dan Angwech on his debut to do the same as his predecessor. Brownie maul by the Kenyans. Teddy Akala, try time wa Kenya. And his teammates are picking him up from the ground saying, Pole sana mzito. He has done it. That is try number 5 from the hooker, Teddy Akala. And the Kenyan lead is straight to 29 points with a conversion to come. Wonderful rugby displayed by the men in red. Finally, they are rolling maul. has been working but hadn't paid the results they wanted. And finally it has come. Akala feeding it in and running to the back of it, collecting the ball. And while his friends chauffeured it forward, he was just there looking for the whitewash. And the moment they were over, he just lay down and claimed the try. Conversion time. That's a very high one, but not a very direct one. And the young man, Derek Ashindu, does not get the conversion he envisioned. Or it was actually Andrew Matoka, but they'll still be unfazed because the Zambians now need 17 points to get back into this game.
Yeah, Terry Kaushiku to restart the game for Zambia. Lies is trade for Red Arrows Rugby Club, the reigning Zambia League champions. And the team is dominated by players from Red Arrows.
Ball is coming out now. Rogers Mukupa. Is there an obstruction there? Utimba says no. Terry Kaushiko now. That's a big carry, but the ball is lost in contact, and now Paul Mutsami can be very deadly. Bryson Adaka dancing, turns, puts his dancing shoes on and gets Kenya into territorial advantage now. Ferocious big hit by Thomas Okidia. Brian Wahinya again into Paul Matsumi. Paul Mutsami carries the Kenyans into the 22. Another visit into the 22, and Brian Wahinya knocks it on, which will make no much difference because the referee had already awarded the Zambians a penalty for the Kenyans being off their feet, as Rogers Mukupa lies in pain in the Kenyan half, receiving medical attention. Already with a man down, their scrum is starting to pave, and they'll have to work doubly hard if they are to get anything out of this game, the Zambians.
Yeah, the Ugandans should be watching this and probably licking their lips at the number of penalties that Kenya are giving away at the breakdown. Again, this was an attacking move where Kenya were well in ascendancy, and they gave away possession by going flying into the ruck off their feet and giving Zambia an opportunity to clear their lines. And it will be a lineup for Zambia right on the halfway line.
Today, the Zambians have tried to bring in a couple of subs, but Teddy Akala, who has marshaled the Kenyans very well in this game, the scorer of their most recent try, is finally off and replaced by yet another debutant in Emmanuel Otieno. And now the Zambians will have to work some sort of scrum down here in the muddy Kyadondo Avenue. They will have to try and push their way forward. It's been very difficult for them all afternoon long. And now they'll have to do something by way of substitution. We will see who's coming on for the Zambians.
We have Chileshe Mulenga coming on for the Zambians. And Raymond Mwashi goes to flank, while Chileshe goes to 13.
Looks like Butemwe Koloko has also been ejected from the game. Yeah, it has been a good day for the centers of both teams, especially the number 12s. Both Paul Mutsami and Butemwe Koloko, they've been very active.
Yeah, Koloko playing for Nkwazi Rugby Club.
He's one of the few not from the Arrows of Mufulira.
Exactly.
Shout out to Nkwazi Rugby Club back in Zambia if you're watching. Thank you for that young man. He has been a good tournament highlight for those of us who have been watching.
Yeah, Zambia has an interesting number of teams that belong to the armed forces. You have Red Arrows Rugby Club that is actually for Zambia Air Force. And then you also have Green Buffaloes Rugby Club and Green Eagles Rugby Club that are also for the armed forces.
Yeah, well, I think it makes sense because the military discipline can easily be reflected in the game of rugby, not to mention the brotherhood and sisterhood that the rugby players possess, being very akin to that of the soldiers, of the military men and women. Penalty to the Zambians. Indeed, Ugandans should be smacking their lips because the Kenyans are gifting penalties for goodwill this afternoon.
Yes, they are. And we can see Rogers requesting for a substitute. He's been doing a lot of ball carrying, and so the big man from Mufulira Rugby Club, who are the runners-up in the Zambian League, wanting to come off. You have David Koloko from Diggers Rugby Club. Again, he's the sole player from Diggers Rugby Club. And Diggers Rugby Club is actually the oldest rugby club in Zambia, having been founded in 1931. And they used to supply most of the players to the national team until other clubs came up and took over. And right now you have the Air Force Club, Red Arrows, dominating the league.
An attempt at brilliance there by Al Nazir Baker found the Kenyans working at the same mental frame as him, and they stole the ball at the line out. But Andrew Matoka, who has just failed to get into his element so far, has knocked that ball forward, and the Zambians have another chance. Zambia have played not for the want of chances, Helen, I believe. They've got their opportunities, but the Kenyans have simply been a match ahead for them. They've just marshaled them to the side. They've been bullying them in the scrum downs, in the physical contests, in the air, in the lineouts. They've just outplayed them sincerely. And you just would want the Zambians to find something in this game because they play like a team that can, but it's just not working out for them.
Yeah, the lack of test rugby matches is showing for Zambia. They're inexperienced and they're not quite gelling. Whereas despite Kenya having a large number of debutants in the squad, they've been together for quite some time in training camps, in South Africa, playing the Currie Cup in South Africa. And so they're more cohesive than the Zambians. But you sense if Zambia had more games together, then that they will be quite a decent outfit to challenge the East African sides.
Mukupa Rogers fends off the challenge by Elkean Musonye. Big handoff there. Baptism of fire, you call it. Now Alex Mwewa. Alex Mwewa finds the pass. Terry Kaushiku. Beautiful dummy by Kaushiku. He's a small man, but he does have the skill of a giant. Here they come again now. Mulenga Mwila. Mulenga Mwewa to Bathlock Sikawona. There's another Zambian in need of medical attention. They've not played so many games as you mentioned, Helen, but they've had 2 games in a space of 4 days, and their bodies are feeling it. Cheeky kick by David Koloko. Now Andrew Matoka. Andrew Matoka seems like he is in. A chip in behind. Now it's a foot race. Andrew Matoka, the hooter has gone, and Matoka is just short. The hooter is gone for full time. And it will be interesting what decision Mutimba will make here, because that was surely the last element of play. Andrew Matoka just almost got his shine at the curtain call of the game. But Mutimba allows play to be continued, probably for a minute or two, as we have some medical attention. It looks like it's Rogers Mukupa, faithful servant of his country. He has left every bone, muscle and sinew on the ground in Kings Park Arena and at Kyadondo Rugby Grounds, playing his heart out for Zambia. And the medical officer is signaling that indeed that is all his legs can carry. He has done what he can, and he will be giving way to a Zambian substitute, the very last one in these evening hours, in the wee hours of the game. He limps off, Rogers Mukupa, but that's the only time he has limped. All the other times he's been running, carrying that ball in. At Kings Park, he even had some up and unders to his name, the big boy, and the fans on the lower end of the pitch are giving him a standing ovation that is very, very fully deserved, because he's been a workhorse and a force to reckon with in this Zambian squad. as we prepare to resume the game with a scrum down. Remember, we are past the time for the game. The 80 has really come to an end, and now the Kenyans are just playing to add a little gloss onto the scoreline because they can, but they do not have to. Scrum down, and it will be the feed of Dan Angwech. And the Kenyans are already at penalty advantage. Paul Matsumi is out there waiting. Paul Mutsami with the curry. Now who is next? It is Mususi. Mususi makes his meters. The Zambians defending desperately. This is to save face, but the Kenyans are playing to pilfer pain. Here they come again, another big curry, and this time it's monstrous enough to award them a try that will end the game. What spectacular fashion to finish matters here. It is the captain, George Nyambua, who gets the final try of the game, and the handshakes are in, the high fives are in. The Kenyans have done the job. It is 34 at the moment as they await a conversion to come to put Momizari Zambia's way and send them home from the Victoria Cup 2023.
Yeah, dogged defending from Zambia, but it just wasn't quite enough for them. They showed flashes of brilliance in attack, but they were unable to get over the try line and came away with 12 points off the boot, while Kenya have scored 36 points, and the final conversion was made by Derek Ashiundu in the absence of Jone Kubu.
And that is the final whistle. That is full time. It is, of course, distraught from the Zambians, but they can walk with their heads high because they have not played action. They've not played rugby in a very long time, which is unlike the Kenyans and the Ugandans, who had some tournaments to play last year. And the Zambians, even though the score does not really flatter them, they can walk home feeling proud because they put up some really good discipline displays. They have played some really well done team efforts. They have pulled off some training ground moves, and they have got some scores to their names. We shall be back on Saturday for the final game of the Victoria Cup. That's in Kampala, and it will be held at Kings Park Arena with the two winning sides, Uganda and Kenya, renewing an age-old rivalry as old as the Mountain Elgon, as old as Mijingo Islands, as old as the Lake Victoria herself, as old as our borders, and as old as the names and the similar things that we all share. We shall be settling those at Kings Park Arena on Saturday. See you then.